Alright, we should be live now. Hey, what's up everyone? Happy Wednesday. And we got some of the membership renewals rolling in. So let me get those played since the last week. How's everyone doing? Alright, we got... Who was first today? We have... Craig Lilly was first. What's up, Craig? What's up, Stang2on7? What's up, Ice Coalition Gaming? Chris in the house, I think. He was early, but sometimes he goes away. Don't hit a tree, Chris. You're driving. What's up, Donut Farmer? What's up, Demon Mitt? Kale 130. We got Mod Jason Whitmer in the house. R Call 2000. We got T-Rex. Oh, good. I get to watch the stream this week while I grill. What are we talking about today? So at first, I actually wasn't gonna have any topics, but there's actually I saw an article just pop up recently, as well as a couple of others from a few days ago, about mid-range CPUs. So I thought that would be worth talking about before we start doing other random stuff as we normally do on stream. So yeah. Yeah, Kale130, that's exactly right. Not sure, but the latest I've heard is AMD may be releasing 7600 GPU and not 77. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have a couple of articles pulled up, and I would say the sources of these rumors / leaks are pretty good. There's multiple different people reporting on that, so we'll take a look at that. What's up, Shauner? You still injured? Or are you good for soccer tonight? If the RX 7600 is 300, come on. We know it's not going to be 300. We'll talk about this in a second. There's no way it's going to be 300. It's going to have to take a little bit of a price increase from the 6600, which MSRP'd at 330, right? So, yeah, we'll talk about that once we get into the article. We're just chilling before stream starts now. Oh, soccer season is over. Okay. You had to work and your team lost. Sad days. What's up, John? Yo. Were you gonna send out the rules, John, for the competition? I need to email you about that, actually, just because, yeah, I'll email it. I don't want to say it on stream, but I haven't gotten any emails past a couple ones that were sent back and forth, so I'm not sure if I checked my spam folder. I just wasn't sure if it went into spam or something. I didn't see it. Okay, let's see. Twizzy 2 valid W content creator. Thank you. Chris, you got $500 for damages to your car, and you're not gonna give that to your cousin who's doing work for it? You're probably gonna give him some, right? But you're gonna pocket most of it? Dude, pay your cousin. Oh, speaking of food, yo, if you guys, on the Discord, in the deals channel this week, was it this week? When was this? 420? Oh, 420. Hey, look, I posted a snack on 420. I posted this deal. I don't even know if it's really a deal, because $4 for a bag of snacks doesn't seem too much. It doesn't seem like a deal. It seems pretty standard with, you know, the way the economy is these days. But these are the Gardettos. If y'all never had this before, and I'm not talking about like the Chex Mix version. I'm talking about the Gardettos special request garlic rye chips. This is not a sponsor spot, by the way. I bought these from Amazon. I was just so stoked when these popped up on Slick Deals, because I haven't seen a bag of just a special request in a really long time. They still sell Gardettos, but these ones, these are just the really hard ride chips. Oh. If y'all have never had these before, you should definitely try them if you see them at your grocery store, which none of my local grocery stores have, so I had to get them on Amazon. These are just so satisfying to eat. They've got like a nice salty garlic taste to them, and they're super crispy. They're like borderline crack your teeth crispy. The roof of your mouth? No. This does not kill the roof of your mouth. This isn't like, yeah, this isn't kill the roof of your mouth stats. Even though it is hard, it's because you crunch them and break them down with your teeth. You're saying these are the worst part of the Chex Mix? No way. Maybe the Chex Mix versions, I will say, are pretty mid, because they're not flavored the same as the Gardettos. The Gardettos version has enriched flour, rye flour, vegetable oil, monosodium glutamate. Yeah. Where's all the other flavor? Onion powder, garlic powder, fumaric acid, spice. It's got more flavor, I'm just saying. You'd break a tooth, yeah. Yeah, see, Kale? You need to buy some of these if these were your favorite parts of Gardettos, which they were definitely my favorite part. Chris, Wiener Schnitzel when? Still. One day, Chris, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna send you a picture when I do. Our call says bacon, egg, cheddar, avocado on whole wheat toast. What is that? Like Rich Zoomer diet? Avocado on. That's why we're so poor. Us millennials and Gen Z and whatever. We're so poor because we spend all our money on avocados, right? Flaming Hot Links Jack. Okay. So I love beef jerky and I love pepperoni sticks, or I love, you know, whatever. But it's so expensive. Like any kind of beef jerky, whether it be like in the bag form or like, you know, pepperoni sticks, it is very expensive for how much food you're getting. And it's because it's like meat, right? So it's more expensive than like all these carb-based snacks. But yeah, so I like beef jerky. It's just too expensive, so we don't buy it often. Mag78 with the super chat. Danny, you think I'd be okay to double my DDR5 RAM and RAM 4x16, so it's 64 gigs? It's way cheaper than buying... Wait, double my DDR5 RAM. Oh! Yeah. So you have a 2x16 right now, and you want to go 4x16? Yeah, you should be fine. If you can, try to match the same brand, and, you know, of course, try to match the same frequency, latency, and stuff like that. And try to match the same brand. You can mix and match brands for the most part. It usually isn't an issue. I personally have never run into an issue mixing and matching RAM of different brands or even like different speeds. It'll just, if you do mix and match speeds, it'll kind of default to what the lowest common denominator is. But yeah, you should be good to just buy a second kit. That's the reason why if you buy a motherboard with 4 slots and you start off with 2 sticks, it is so that you can upgrade and add more later. You shouldn't have to replace your current sticks and buy completely new sticks to fill it. So yeah, you found the same kit. Yeah. $60 less than the original buy. Yeah, so you're saving money on the second 32 gigs you're adding in. So yeah, definitely you buy it and add it in. There's no issues. Yeah. Your go-to snack are Takis. You want to talk about roof destroying and spiciness? Takis. That's what those are. You know, they're unhealthy, but it's great to pass. Should I stick with the what? The X570 is fine as a chipset. Yeah. I guess anytime people ask if they should upgrade something, instead of just simply giving a yes or no answer, I like to ask back, what is your reason for upgrading? Do you know why? You have to know why you want to spend additional money to upgrade anything. So, what features are you going to get out of the newer chipset? Coalition Gaming says, Adobe Premiere has been giving me errors trying to render my podcast episode for 2 days. What errors is it giving you? Adobe does give me issues sometimes. I've never tried DaVinci Resolve though, so anytime I come up with errors in Premiere, I have to figure it out because I have no alternative, unfortunately. Personally, I would only buy a mobile upgrade if I had to upgrade. Yeah, so with Nick's question, I guess I don't understand. Are they so they're already on AM4 with the X570, and they're asking, they're not. If you buy a B650 motherboard, you're also having to upgrade your CPU. So what is the reason for wanting to upgrade? I don't even know what CPU you have with your X570 and what you plan on going with if you were to upgrade. So you're doing a full platform upgrade, and you might have to get new RAM too. So I feel like if you have an X570, you might already have a pretty capable processor, unless you got, like, I don't know, like a Ryzen 3000 or something, and then it might be time to upgrade if you look for more performance. But yeah, I'm not sure if Nick understands why they want to upgrade. Yusha says, hey Danny, did you do another LAN party stories for the winter season? If not, will you guys have another one? Yeah, so we already did the LAN party. I have 2 LAN party videos that I need, like, to finish. The first one coming soon is the Texas LAN party. We call it LAN party, but it was actually just like more of a hangout session with some landing at very late night landing. And then the LAN party in March will be after that at some point, but yeah. Alright, we're about 15 minutes into stream, so let's get on with not the talk of Gardettos, but AMD rumored releasing the, let's see, RX 7600 to show at Computex. So this was April 24th, so that was only 2 days ago, and this is from Igor's lab, which I would say is a very credible source. So they talk about other stuff here. Nvidia stops supply of its chips. The 4060 Ti comes at the end of May / beginning of June. So 4060 Ti, end of May, beginning of June. And then AMD to show the RX 7600 at Computex, which is also, if we look at the Computex date, this year it is May 30th to June. So, according to Igor's lab, which I would say is a very credible source, 4060 Ti, so what is it, end of April now? So in about a month's time, we're going to be starting to see actual mid-range from both AMD and Nvidia. So the interesting thing about this is AMD's already kind of worked down their product stack, right? They just recently released the RTX 4070, which we talked about and I covered in a couple of videos on the channel. But the thing about AMD is they to this date right now, they only have the RX 7900 XTX and the XTs. There's no 7800 XT. There's no 7800, no 7700, 7700 XT. So this is interesting news if this is true, that they're just gonna go all the way from the top highest and, you know, over $1,000 graphics card to a true mid-range card, which would be what the 7600 is. Let's see. So yeah, so Igor, let's see, was this written by, yeah, this was written by Igor himself. What I can confirm, however, is that individual AMD board partners will show a Radeon RX 7600 as a finished product at Computex, while other partners who both use AMD and Nvidia chips are first exercising wait and see restraint. So, AMD board partners, it's kind of like what we saw with the 4070, in that it might be like a tiered release, where board partners, like only AMD board partners get to show their stuff first, and then you get the other companies like Gigabyte, Asus, and stuff that make cards for both companies, releasing or showcasing afterwards. So yeah, in terms of price, I guess the first thing we can talk about is price. What would be the ideal price you would want to see a 7600 at? So if we think back at the RX 6600 release price, that was $330 with the 6600 XT at $380. So just using this as a baseline and knowing everything that we know, not only due to the pandemic, but we know AMD they've released 7000 series cards, and the prices compared to previous gens, I just don't see this. I don't see 7600s releasing at 330. The 6600s right now are going for around, I think it's like 210 last I checked. They fluctuate a little bit, but if we were to look for the cheapest RX 6600, right, lowest price, so dang, you can get open box RX 6600s from Newegg, from the US, not like some Chinese third-party reseller. You can get it for 180 bucks, which is crazy. Oh yeah, so 6600s, wow. There are multiple models pretty readily available for 200 with no coupon codes or anything. Yeah, this is, so the 6600 is like the go-to graphics card for $200 or less. Crazy good performance. So let's say the 7600 does come out at what the 6600 retailed for 2 years ago. So let's say that's 330. From 200 to 330, what is that? That's like 30 something percent. That's a little bit more than 30. It's like 36%. So that's a 36% price increase, and if the performance is about the same, then you have like a linear, you know, increase in price per performance. But that, I don't think that's a bad thing at all, given that a card that is, let's say, 40-ish% faster than a 6600 for sub $400, there's nothing to compete, really, except for prior gen cards. Coalition Gaming X says, non-XT $300, XT for $350. Yeah. I mean, there's no way. There's no way the 7600 releases and are actually in stock at 7600. Let's see. So that was Igor's article. So we have video cards who they actually wrote this. What's 2246 GMT with regards to PSD? But that it was today, April 26th. So they're writing it based on Moore's Law is Dead, who is another you know, tech rumor leaks information outlet. So they actually he actually has more information here. Whoops. Yeah, so we'll go to his Twitter. So he's saying the 7600 XT press sampling May 15th, MSRP reviews May 24th, release date the 25th, and then above MSRP models get reviewed later on. So this is about the 7600 XT. So we're not sure if it's actually gonna be a 7600 XT, or because this date kind of lines up a little bit with what Igor is saying about the 7600. But yeah, price wise, I'm thinking they tack on another 30 to 50 bucks on top of what these two released back 2 years ago. Jason Whitmer says, cute of you to pretend you don't have Lisa Sue feeding you all this info beforehand because you're on AMD payroll. I wish. Dude, if I was on AMD payroll, that'd be amazing. But no. I have to look at the news leaks and speculation like everybody else, like all the regular people. Anything more than excuse me, $299 is DOA. The 6700 XT sells for $350. Let's see. What if it here's the thing though. What if it performs better? I don't think it would be DOA. What if whatever card, whether it be the 7600 XT or 7600, what if that comes out and it performs on par with the 6700 XT? We've seen this in the past. It's like when the 1070 came out and it was on par with like a 980 Ti. Price-wise though, in the past, it usually was you got a nice reduction in price when you met the same performance. But post-pandemic, it seems like these companies are losing their minds. And I guess what they can bring to the table though is, right, if you do get a card that is 6700 XT equivalent at the same price as the 6700 XT, you do get one generation of newer, you know, of a newer product. So that's slightly longer driver support and things like that, as well as new features, right? Even though most people probably don't care about things like AV1 encoding, because not everyone's a streamer or like content creator, it's gonna have that. It's gonna support just whatever latest generation of you know, graphics card features typically has, as well as having a better like power draw. It would be more efficient. So is that not enough to spend the same amount? I think in that case, there would be no reason to buy the 6700 XT anymore if this newer card performs the same but has all the other little extra features. Will the 7600 perform like an RTX 4070 or 4060 Ti? No way. No. The 7600 may perform the same as a 4060, but I don't know. If Nvidia's pricing is all really high, performance might not line up like it has in the past. Whatever you think AMD should do, they will do the opposite. Oh, no. Whatever you think AMD should do, they will do the opposite and shoot themselves again in the foot. Yeah, so I don't know. This is good news if we're gonna be able to have sub $500 cards, because we don't really have anything to. We have like older cards to choose from, 1 gen old. Let's look at this Newegg 6700 XT. What the cheapest one is right now. We've been posting these in the deals channel on the Discord, but so we do have the ASRock Challenger for $340 with the $10 off code. One hour commute. Sorry, Chris. Let's look at the hierarchy, the GPU hierarchy, which we'll look at 1080p performance. So if we want to look at what the performance was between the 57, like the 5000 series and 6000 series, we were getting a 6600 that was right in between the 5700 and 5700 XT, and the 6650 XT beating that. So if we were to follow this trend, which I mean, we only have these two columns to pull from, because prior to that we had like RX Vega cards and the 500 series. It's kind of harder to draw the same conclusions. If we were to follow this trend, if we do see a 7600 XT kind of be slightly above the 6700 XT, I just don't see them doing it for $350. Which I would love to be proved wrong, by the way. If they can get a 7600 XT to perform right in between the 6800 and the 6750 XT and be $350, that's definitely a huge win. But yeah, we'll have to see what the pricing is. Oh, here's Kevin just posted. Let me see this. Is this one even cheaper? Why did this not pop up? So here's the 6700 XT. Oh, it's because it's got a mail-in rebate. There. What the heck? Yo, why is Newegg? Oh, this is a 6700, 6750. AMD. Why did you have to make a freaking refresh of the card? So let's take a look at the lowest price of this here, which I don't know if I don't really count mail-in rebates, so you do have to spend $330 up front and then deal with a rebate, which I don't know. But you do get, what do you get with this? You do get The Last of Us, which has been met with mixed reviews for $310 though. I mean, if you don't mind rebates, this is the one to get. Jason Whitmer says, why was Turing such a crap show? Generation Law. Look at those SKUs. Yeah. 1650 Super, 1660. Wait. I think this part of the graph is the funniest to me. How you had the 1660, the Super, and the TI. And then you also had that here, except at least with the 2080 Ti, it was like well ahead of the 2080 Super. And the 2080 Super was kind of just a refresh of the 2080, to be honest. But it's funny, like, in the 1660 specifically, there's 3 SKUs, and they're so close to each other. Yeah. Kind of odd too if you look at AMD back in the 5000 series. There's just like almost like no product. You got 4 cards here. All right, time to run a poll. I feel like it's been a while since we've ran this, so let's see what everyone in the community has right now. All right, let's see what graphics cards people have. You got Nvidia, AMD, or Intel in terms of discrete graphics cards, or do you have integrated graphics? Always good to revisit this and just see what everybody polls. 5700 XT used. Check eBay. Best budget card right now. Yeah, so the 5700 XT, I think those are going for like 150-ish, right? Sometimes you can get them down to as low as 125. But I think because I like to look at, when I look at used graphics card pricing, especially on eBay, I look at buy it now. I'm not dealing with bids. You feel free to try to bid on something that's 6 days away from ending, only to have the price go up to near buy it now or something, or get lucky and get a low price. But I think buy it now is more reflective of what you could get like right now, readily available, right? So RX 5700 XT, I think these are like what, 140, 150 last time I checked. Parts only. eBay with their parts only bull crap. We're gonna look for open box, certified, yep, all that. Everything except for parts. So 140 new listings. So 140, 145. Okay, so about 150 is what they're looking like. I think there's a very high chance these are going to be mined cards. Does the description say anything about it? GPUs tested, refurbished to be 100% working condition. Yeah, but given how popular these cards were for mining, let's see what this seller has to sell. Oh, hey, look, this person just has a ton of graphics cards, which they could be a legit refurbisher, or every single card I'm seeing in here, not every single one, but a lot of these were very popular during the mining craze. We're looking at 1070s, 1080s, 1080s, 3060 Ti. What is this? Oh, Respect IO Store. Is it about? There's no information. They've been a member since 2020. I don't know. Like, again, there's nothing inherently wrong with a mining card, but, you know, just be aware. Yeah, the 5700 XT on CyberPower, that was like a once in a blue moon deal. Unfortunately, that can't be used as like an actual reference price. I have people commenting on my videos, I got a graphics card basically for free. Why did you spend so much on yours? Like, bro, that is not a common price. But yeah, I wish I would have gotten in on that CyberPower deal. I woke up late that day. They are a refurbisher. Okay, so yeah, so them being a refurbisher is fine, and they could be totally legit. But in terms of the history of these cards, I think I've talked about this before. I wish graphics cards had like some kind of chip on them that was able to count the on hours, similar to how hard drives, when you look up their smart info, a hard drive will tell you how long it's been, how many like power on off cycles it's had, and how many on hours it's had. It would be awesome if other hardware had that feature too, like let's say CPUs, maybe memory, or graphics cards, just so that you could actually know what the history of your hardware is, rather than just have to listen to whatever the person selling it to you, who may be lying, is, right? So for these graphics cards, even though this is a refurbisher, refurbishers get in mining cards all the time to like clean up and fix and sell. So but for 150, I think the 5700 XT is a really good price. I also recently run the digit, says you purchased a 6700 XT, $300 used upgrade from, wait, you had the RTX 3070? You're skipping this gen of graphics card. That, I wouldn't, that's a side grade. That's not really an upgrade. I mean, actually, okay, it depends, right? Depending on the titles you play, if you play AMD biased titles, which some of them include Rainbow Six Siege, Doom Eternal, Assassin's Creed, basically Ubisoft games perform better on AMD cards. So that's, you could consider that an upgrade, but I think for the most part, going from a 6700 XT or 3070 to a 6700 XT, that is definitely a side grade in most people's books. Yeah, so Ricky makes a good point. So the 6700 XT has 12 gigabytes of VRAM. The what did I say? The 6700 XT has 12 gigabytes of VRAM. The 3070 has 8 gigabytes. I don't think at the yeah, sure, some select titles are starting to hit that 8 gigabyte VRAM limit, but I think for the most part, it's not as big of an issue as it might be in like a couple of years. So right now, I think I definitely would consider those two a side grade. Maybe if you revisit it in like 2 to 3 years, with titles that do require more video memory, then you might see even a larger performance difference between those two cards, which would be considered old by that point, right? So, yeah. Some of you guys are obsessed with VRAM to the point where you ignore everything else. Yeah, I think I talked about that either last week or 2 weeks ago stream. Like, Hardware Unboxed, which I love the stuff they make, by the way. They've been making a very big push to talk about VRAM, which I think it's good. They're advocating for the consumer, trying to get the most out of graphics cards, right? But I don't know. Right now, I just don't see like 8 gigabytes of VRAM being a huge issue for a lot of the cards that they're coming with. And when a game hits the VRAM limits, and I'm not gonna talk about The Last of Us because it's still a pretty new game, I don't know if I blame the graphics cards for like bad Last of Us or Hogwarts Legacy performance. Do you blame the graphics card, or do you blame the games for their horrible optimization? I am more inclined to blame the game, but over time that can be improved. And it's not like having 8 gigabytes of VRAM for most titles is not going to make it so that you're stuttering every second, right? I think in Last of Us that actually did happen, but that's still a new game that they're still rolling out patches for. If you're talking about other games that are pretty much, you know, a couple of years old that have had their patch cycles, problems like that don't really exist with bad VRAM. Sure, or not bad VRAM, but like having less VRAM. Sure, you might have to turn the settings down, or sure, your 1% and average FPS might not be as good as having more VRAM, but it's not like it's unplayable. It's not like it makes the card obsolete, which is a term that I feel like Hardware Unboxed might have used. Like, they might say, is 8 gigabytes obsolete? No, what is your definition of obsolete? Obsolete means it's basically not usable anymore. I would say it might not be ideal, or it might be leaving some performance on the table, but 8 gigs of VRAM is by no means obsolete. Yeah, in 1080p, 8 gigs of VRAM is definitely fine. Like, dude, when I test systems with like old graphics cards that can still run modern titles like well, and they only have like 3-4 gigabytes of VRAM, I'm just like, what are people complaining about? Yeah, I mean, I don't think I agree with this statement at all. 8 gigabytes of VRAM is fine in 2023. In 2024, you do not need 12 gigs. 2024 is going to roll around. People are still going to be buying used 3070s once they get even cheaper for like lower cost builds. And it's still going to run all the titles just fine. It's not going to all of a sudden blow up the computer or give you like, you know, single digit 1% lows and stuttering. It'll be fine. Dude, I'm still... I'll probably have a video with budget parts coming up relatively soon, and I'm gonna throw like Hogwarts Legacy and stuff at it, and The Last of Us, and we'll see how it does. Actually, let's take a look. Let's see The Last of Us. RX. Let's see if there's any RX 584 gigabytes. Oh, here's The Last of Us with the RX 570. Okay, and okay, RX 5700 1060. So we do have stuff with like definitely less than 8 gigs of VRAM. What are they doing? Render resolution? Oh, come on, don't use FSR. FSR low. Okay. So here's the 570.
Coming out of something.
Which, I don't really count FSR as running at true 1080p, so let's look at, that's a 5 gig. Where's the 1060? Here's a 1066 gigs at low 1080p with no FSR, right? So we're hitting like 40 something FPS, which is pretty much as expected given how old the 1060 is. But we're talking about a single player game here. So 50 something FPS, what's the average? So 1% and 0.1% lows, as we can see here, is above 30. And average is like 45 to 50-ish, it looks like. I mean, we're talking about, what year did the 1060 come out? Like 2016 or something? This is very playable. This is not... I mean, it's old, but I wouldn't even call this obsolete just yet. Like, this is what people were playing the console version at back then. These kinds of frame rates. They weren't running these at like 144 hertz monitors and stuff like that. Steve didn't say 8 GB was obsolete. They said they would be. Whoa. I mean, let me look at... I could have sworn the thumbnail said something else. VRAM. So, revisit shocking results. Not enough VRAM. Nvidia's planned obsolescence in effect. 8 gig VRAM only going to get worse. Okay, so maybe he didn't use the exact word saying 8 gigabytes is obsolete right now. But he's definitely pushing for the fact that it is a bigger problem than... I don't know. Actually, let's run a poll. So we're gonna end the last poll. Most of y'all have Nvidia graphics cards in the chat right now. We got 63% Nvidia, 31% AMD, only 2% with AMD with Intel Arc cards. But good thing is only 2% with integrated graphics. So most of y'all have, like, you know, graphics cards or discrete graphics cards. But okay. Do you how should I ask this question? Do you think 8 GB is not enough VRAM? For mid-range graphics cards, I mean, I don't know what the VRAM configurations of like some of these mid-range cards coming out are, but let's just use 8 GB as like a nice round number. Like, do you think if the 7 we would have to probably say, like, if the RTX 4060, because AMD is probably going to give... AMD is giving more video memory for their equivalent cards compared to Nvidia. So let's just say an Nvidia RTX 4060 comes out and is 8 GB. Do you think that is basically a no-go and nobody should ever pick that up? Yeah. So Demon Mid says 8 GB is VRAM is enough for mid-range cards, which is what the 3060 Ti, 3070, 3070 Ti is at this point. But I'm talking about the cards coming out. I'm talking about, let's say, the 4050, if there's a 4050 Ti, a 4060, maybe even a 4060 Ti. I don't... Is there a... let's see, RTX 4060 Ti leak specs. What is the supposed specs? 8 GB? Is there 4060 leak specs? If they do release them at, I mean, yeah, so I mean, there's multiple sources that I'm seeing here. Dexerto, what else? Tom's Hardware right here. 4060 may arrive with 8 GB of video memory. So yeah, if a 4060 came out with that, do you think it will be a big problem? More than half the people say yes. I think 8 GB is fine. It's not ideal. Obviously, you always want more for the same amount of money you're spending, right? But I don't think 8 GB... If the 4060 drops at 8 GB, there are going to be a lot of like reviewers and stuff, I think they're gonna harp on that fact. But I don't know. Like, it's kind of similar to, like, if you look at the RX 580 4 versus 8 GB, the difference in them. Like, I think the RX 580 4 GB, if you're spending like 40 to 50 bucks, which is what they kind of go for in the used market, it's fine. I've used the RX 580 4 GB in cheap budget builds before, and people complain that I didn't use the 8 GB one. And I'm like, dude, it's a $300 to $400 PC. What do you expect? It runs games fine. It's not stuttering left and right. So yeah, the whole VRAM thing, that discussion, I've always been okay with not having a ton of VRAM. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Mr. 7-Digit. Well, so 8 GB of VRAM for what games? What settings? What resolutions? So if you look at a mid-range graphics card in 2023, what should you expect out of it, right? A mid-range card that's priced, I don't know, $300-400 bucks. I would say we're pretty much at the point where 1080p isn't even a question anymore. If you're buying a mid-range card in this day and age, it's gonna be able to perform in 1080p just fine. You shouldn't even question it. It should be able to perform in 1440p. Now, so that answers your resolution question. Now, what settings? I would say high settings. The thing is, games, they sometimes just have like low, medium, high, very high. Then sometimes they go extreme, ultra. In Borderlands, it's called badass. So I would say high settings. Not necessarily ultra, just because the amount of performance hit you take going from like high to ultra, which is like maxed out, maxed out settings, I don't think it visually looks that much better for how much of a hit in performance you take. So 8 GB of VRAM, is it enough for modern AAA titles? Not just like crazy ones like Last of Us, but any other thing that's coming out that is, you know, more reasonable and more optimized at 1440p at high settings. Is 8 GB of VRAM enough? Ultra is for screenshots, high is for gaming. I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment. $1440p medium settings in your opinion, Shauner? So between medium to high settings, from what I've noticed, because every time I benchmark, I have to first go through and play all the games at like the settings I think I want to use. And a lot of the times, between medium and high, there's not that much of a performance difference. So I see medium, high, and high. They're all kind of like in the same band of the performance hit you take. And even visually too. Like if I were to put just any random title at medium settings and high in front of you, and or just like the typical gamer, and I told you, all right, tell me which one's medium and tell me which one's high, I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to tell me with 100% confidence which one is which, unless they sat there and stared at it for a long time. Mag78 says, Danny, if you swap that 6600 XT for a 4070, yeah, I bet if I put the 4070 in my system, it would work just fine. That's not my next plan, though. My next plan is to take out since now I've spent, like, I think by this point over a year on AMD again. Now it's time to put in this bad boy, the A770, and go for as long as I can and see if I have any complaints about running a discrete Intel card in my own personal system. I've tested this plenty, or I've tested this and the A750, you know, but I have not used it in my own personal workflow in gaming. So this is going to be my next card that I throw into my system, and it's going to be around the same performance level of what I've had in there. 40 series releases are reminiscent of the disappointment of 20 series. I'm trying to think back. Was the 2060 really... So we're talking about mid-range here, right? The stuff that most people can afford. Was the 2060 received that horribly? The only thing I remember... I actually got a 2060 on the release. The only thing I remember was the disappointment because it was first gen ray tracing and all, right? That was kind of disappointing. Like the ray tracing at that point in time, it was so bad. Not only there's like a first gen mid-range card, it just couldn't run the titles at the time that had ray tracing to offer. It couldn't run it at like above 60 FPS. So that was the only disappointing thing. But other than that, rasterization wise, 2060, I don't remember it being that horribly bad. Yeah, this is what Jason was talking about earlier when we looked at the Tom's Hardware chart, right? The issue with the 20 series was all these freaking supers that they throw in they threw in between there. You know, their little refreshes. Yeah, at the time, ray tracing was definitely in a smaller amount of games. But now, I mean, we're starting to see I feel like more than like half of the new titles coming out do have ray tracing. If not like full ray tracing, at least partial, like ray trace shadows or something like that. So Demon says raw raster, no upscaling performance will become less and less important. AI upscaling is the way the industry is going, and you don't need tons of VRAM to render 1080p at upscale. And that's something that makes me sad. Well, okay, it doesn't make me sad. Obviously, everybody wants more frames per second, right? Especially if it comes at a very slight, detriment to the visual quality. The issue is, there's so many freaking things out there now, man. You got Intel XeSS, Nvidia DLSS, AMD has multiple FSRs for a single game. Like, you could, which game is it? Is it Call of Duty or is it Hogwarts? I don't know. There are multiple titles when I'm benchmarking. I'm like, okay, let's throw on FSR. There's like FSR 1.0 and FSR 2.1, and and then the FSR can be used by all of the brands, right? You can use FSR with Nvidia, Intel, or AMD graphics cards, but DLSS you can only use with Nvidia cards. So it's like, if you're someone who has to test this stuff, I usually choose what does that company have to offer. Like I do for Intel, I choose the XeSS. For AMD, I choose FSR, and for Nvidia, I choose DLSS. But then people will say, oh, why didn't you use FSR with Nvidia? Because there's too many freaking... The matrix of how many different tests you can do with just the freaking settings alone, you'll be testing for days. Like, there's just too many ways to apply settings. And then, oh my god, and then frame generation too. Right, and not only frame generation, but frame generation being like only available on the newest cards. Like, then you're comparing cards that can do it and cards that can't do it. So is that a fair performance like comparison? That's why it was nice when it was before all this crap came out. It was just raw raster. How good were these cards next to each other? But now these cards have certain gimmicks that can make them like. With frame generation and DLSS compared to raw raster, it just like blows the FPS out of the water, and you're looking at like double the performance. So, is that the type of comparison that people want to see in benchmarks? It really makes me wonder how much of this is like, how much of this could have been avoided in terms of like the game development side of things versus having to have it on the hardware side of things. Even though AMD might make FSR freeware, Nvidia most likely wouldn't use it over DLSS. Well, actually, for all you Nvidia, actually, here, we gotta run the next poll. So I'm gonna end the poll. Do you think only having 8 GB of VRAM? So it's a 60-40 split, not too bad. But more people than not said they think 8 GB will be a big problem for mid-range graphics cards that are coming out in terms of like future gaming. Yes, no. Okay, so I mean, most of the people in here had Nvidia cards, so you should be able to answer this. So, do you use DLSS every chance you get if the game you're playing has it available? So, like, it's free frames, right? Is there any reason for you not to turn it on if the game has it as an available option? I mean, you could just turn it on and just keep it at, like, the highest quality setting. You don't have to turn it to performance mode, you know, so that it's the least, like, noticeable difference visually. But, so the yes and no means you have a capable card and you're answering yes or no. And then of course the last option is you don't have a DLSS capable card, so you can't answer at all. DLSS is magic, man. I mean, yeah. So while people are answering that, I think one of the cool things is, even when I tested the HD 7850, when I did that video with the 1 GB graphics card, FSR worked on it. I was already running at a pretty low resolution, so it was ugly as heck. But it was actually supported, even though officially on AMD's website, let's see, what graphics cards have FSR support? Let's see, Pocket Lens. Where was that? I'm looking for the graphics card. Oh, here it is. FSR. I think they have like the list of cards. If I can find it. Oh, here it is. So supported graphics hardware that support FSR. See, we get older cards like RX 500, RX 480, going back to like the 1000 series from GTX. So it even goes further back than this though. You can use FSR on cards that aren't even technically listed on here to get free, to get additional frames. So, yeah, I don't know. Between FSR, so some games, I'm trying to think. Are there any titles? Do you guys know of any titles out there that that support only FSR and not DLSS? I'm trying to think. I could have sworn there was at least one or two, even in my own benchmarking suite. But that might not be the case. Anytime there's any resolution upscaling, I think there's always DLSS and FSR, unless one of you out there can name like a game that only has FSR and not DLSS. Dead Island 2 is on FSR. There's no DLSS support. Dead Island 2, that just came out, right? Interesting for a new game that's like less than a week old. Callisto Protocol only has FSR. Okay. Yeah, so the cool thing, I don't know, I just think the cool thing about FSR is you could use, it's not like bound to only the newest or like kind of newer graphics cards. You can use it with such a wide range of graphics cards from all the different companies and going back to, like, you know, in the past. Like, we're talking about cards that, well, the HD 7850 that I did was like 10 years old, but you probably wouldn't actually want to use it there. But being able to use it on cards that are like, what, 7 years old by this point, the RX 480, yeah, I think that's pretty freaking awesome. Resident Evil 2 and 3 only had FSR. Okay, so there's a handful of titles and that only had FSR, but so in those ones that makes benchmarking easy, right? Because then you just put FSR across all 3 cards. But getting back to the point that I was making earlier, when you have so many different options for resolution scaling, it becomes a pain. Yeah, DLSS. This is a good point, Tavian. Yeah, for devices that are limited on space or like how big of a graphics card and cooling and stuff like that, definitely Steam Deck laptops, very, very useful for that. No. Sorry, I meant Tavian. Not we got a Tavian and a Davian in chat. Okay, let's see. So I mean, I think that's wow. So we've gone from talking about the 7600 potential release all the way to current gen graphics cards and prices, and talking about VRAM and now FSR, DLSS, and resolution upscaling and things like that. Okay. I don't know. So let's so most people actually don't use DLSS if the game has it available, according to the poll or of the people who voted. So here's a fun question. Let's say mid-range. Do you... and this is all speculation, of course, because we don't have any of the numbers available to us. But do you think this generation of AMD's mid-range GPUs stand a chance against Nvidia with regards to performance and market share? Like, do you think AMD will be able to sway some of the super diehard Team Green fans? Yeah, there's no way to know. So this is just a fun guess. This isn't based on any like you know, information or insider info. It's just in the pit of your stomach. What does your gut feeling say? AMD will be better value, but sales might be worse. I mean, that's what we saw. That's what we just saw, right? With the currently available cards. I think... never mind. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people, they have made made like an argument for at least ray tracing. I don't know, DLSS. I think FSR is a pretty good enough competitor to kind of squash that that argument. If you're looking at 3000 series versus 6000 series cards from AMD and Nvidia, can we make a blanket statement saying that AMD has better value? Or are people gonna say, well, Nvidia has better ray tracing and it has DLSS, which AMD doesn't even have? So does that take away from the value argument? Or can we pretty much say AMD is better value than Nvidia currently for like a $300 to $400 graphics card? Mag78 makes a good point. People will talk about AMD, but we'll buy Nvidia. Yep. That's so true. Jason says, owning an AMD card in 2023 is like a shameful act. People feel embarrassed to say they don't have Nvidia. Like, I couldn't afford the good one. Oh, okay, you friggin' troll. Bro, I know plenty of people who proudly say that they have AMD cards. John Paul Bacon says, right now my Power Color Red Devil RX 1600 XT is serving my needs very well, like it has since I bought it in January of 2021. I expect to use it a while longer. Yeah, there's aside from how much power that thing consumes, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to upgrade that anytime soon. Yo, AMD card wielders, represent, stand up, prove Jason wrong. Proudly flaunt the fact that you own your AMD cards. AMD currently stomps Nvidia in value comparing 3000 to 6000 series. Yeah, but I don't know. Oh yeah, did we? When did we? I think we looked at the Steam hardware. Yeah, so I think we already saw this one. So this was when we last looked at Steam hardware survey. It's the same one. So in a little bit, maybe next week or something, we'll get updated numbers for April, which I already thought this looked kind of sus, but where's the RX6? The highest 6000 AMD 6000 series card is here on the list. So it's all the way down here. We do have Vega graphics and RX 570 up a little bit higher, but we're talking about 6700 XT, 6600 XT, and 6600. They're all like neck and neck at 1/3% about down here on the hardware survey. So regardless of, I mean, all three of these cards, if you go to Newegg right now, and no, if you've gone to Newegg in like the last 6 months, these three cards specifically and their 50 variants, they pretty much were like crazy good performance per dollar value. We're talking about around $200 to $220 for this one right here. 6600 XT has been around like $250 to $270, and then 6700 XT was like, it's been around like $350 for the longest time ever. I don't know why the market share is so sparse for AMD cards. Their value is very nice. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know either. Pretty sure, yo, pretty sure Jason is just Jensen's alt account. Dude, Jason Jensen, right? What? Did we just discover something here? Yo, Jensen emojis in the chat. Mr. Mag78 says, in the pit of your stomach and the dark recesses of your mind, you know deep inside that Nvidia is the best. Lies. Lies, I tell you. Jason Jensen. Oh my goodness. That would have been such a good name for your YouTube channel. Very close to Jason Johnson. AMD suffers from poor marketing. Alright, so I've heard this before, and I don't even know if we've ever talked about it before. What? I'm trying to think of... Do I even see much graphics card marketing at all? Whether it be from AMD, Intel, or Nvidia. Like, what market are we talking about? Are we talking about like YouTube like Google ads? Are we talking about billboards? Are we talking about I guess sponsorships for like esports teams? Like, I'm trying to think of what is the like biggest representative of marketing that you can think of. Big YouTubers market GPUs. Well, I don't know. I feel like the big YouTubers like Linus, let's just say Linus, Gamers Nexus, Hardware Unbox, Paul, Kyle, Jay, they've said really good things about AMD RX 6000 series cards. Right? Remember, this is where we got that meme from. Everybody talks good about AMD, but they buy Nvidia, and that's what they mean. If you look at every big tech content creator out there, none of them are like huge Nvidia shows. They have said really good thing about AMD cards. So why is it that if marketing consists of YouTubers reviewing or showcasing products, why is it that people have not caught on to AMD when pretty much everybody says the AMD 6000 series is better value than RTX 3000? Craig Lilly says, I always thought Jason Whitmer looked close to Lisa Su. So now we got this going on? Big YouTubers, yeah, they're pretty soft on Nvidia, but I think they are pretty, like, adamant about AMD being better value. Paladin says, most big YouTubers always hate on... Wait, what? Is this true? Do they always hate on Intel and Nvidia and drink all the AMD Kool-Aid? If that's the case, then why is the market share not shifted? So Eric says, I see Nvidia sponsor streamers on Twitch. I think both AMD and Nvidia sponsor, right? So, but the tech tubers primarily use the most expensive Nvidia card on the market. Yeah, but them using like an RTX 4090 doesn't mean their viewers are gonna do the same, because the viewers can't afford that. Yeah, Linda says, I see AMD ads on Twitch all the time. I don't watch Twitch, so I don't see the ads. And on YouTube, I have YouTube Premium. Thanks, Jason, for letting me be a part of your family on the family plan. Yeah, on YouTube, I don't get served ads anymore because I have YouTube Premium. So, in terms of advertisement, and it's not like anytime I've driven down the road, I've seen like an AMD or Nvidia billboard. So yeah, I feel like a lot of the marketing you guys are talking about is digital marketing. And I personally have not seen much of it at all. So it's not like I could really say AMD has been doing more or less marketing than Nvidia, because I'm not seeing much from either side. Citrus says, something light. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Citrus, what do you mean by this? You're gonna have to elaborate. Something light. Yeah, it's weird. As a tech content creator, you can never win. I've seen it especially with Hardware Unboxed, because like for some reason Reddit I don't know, for the PC tech space, Reddit is kind of weirdly toxic when you get into like the AMD or Nvidia specific stuff. When you go to like other subreddits like SFF, small form factor builds, or maybe build a PC sales or build a PC, it's a little bit better. But when you get those echo chambers of like the specific Nvidia or specific AMD subreddits, it gets really bad. And I know Hardware Unboxed has been a target of both of those subreddits. Anytime they release a video saying a good or a bad thing about either company, which is weird because if you watch, you know, consistently Hardware Unboxed's stuff, I would say they're pretty neutral and biased, but the fanboys just hate hearing bad things about the stuff that they rep. Jason Whitmer is an incredibly small creator. Jason has like almost 2,000 subs by this point, and he gets called a shill for XYZ things. So no matter what, if you like make content on the internet, you are going to be called a shill. I'm pretty sure people think I'm an AMD shill. I'm wearing a red shirt, so I must be an AMD shill right now. Heck, on AMD influencer marketing. Yeah, so that's interesting, right? So when Linus switched to AMD, do you think he got paid for doing that? Like, I don't remember. Did he say? It wasn't just like a challenge thing. The way I remember the video, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that he just wanted to go back to AMD. I don't remember hearing it was in the video that it was sponsored by AMD. But like, so when I did the AMD card challenge, because I did my own version using the 6000 series AMD cards, that definitely wasn't sponsored. That was me being like, you know what, I should be using these cards. After Jason called me out on it, and you know what, it's been fine. I knew it was gonna be fine because I had already been using, like, testing AMD cards for long enough that I knew it wasn't a problem. Yeah, Linus is only using AMD to spite Nvidia. It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same as naturally wanting just to use AMD. Double-Edged Soul says, well, you are a nerd on a budget, and everybody knows AMD is for poor people. Oh, the insults. Linus did it for the clicks. The only reason he does anything. Well, I mean, to be fair, as like from a content creator's perspective, yeah, most of the stuff that you do, the only reason, especially if you're doing it as a business, the only reason to put it online is to generate clicks and views. Okay, that's not the only reason, but that is like the primary reason if it's paying people's like payrolls and stuff like that. It's a bonus if what you're doing is actually something you believe in or are very enthusiastic about, which, I mean, I would say Linus likes computer stuff, right? So putting an AMD card into his system and seeing what it's like, it's not like he only did it for the clicks and views. I'm sure he had a genuine interest about it, so. Extreme Zone 987 says, how can you not be on a budget in 2023? That's true. We're in the middle of like a recession. We just had this pandemic that screwed everything up. We have inflation. Eggs are like 4 times the price what they used to be. Yeah. How could you not be thinking How can you not be money conscious at this time? If AMD's for poor people, where are my god dang Ryzen 3 CPUs? Yeah, dude. How did they just drop the ball? How did they not release like a 5300 or a 5100 and make that readily available to like the public for... Well, okay, so the Ryzen 5 5600 is what? Right now it's like 130? 140? Ryzen 5600. Yeah, you can get these for 140 on Amazon or 150 on Best Buy, whatever. So these are 140 right now. So yeah, if there was like a Ryzen... If there was a Ryzen 3... like for 80 or 90 bucks, that would have been pretty awesome to see. Because again, a lot of people, they don't need a ton of cores and threads for all these like multi-threaded workloads and stuff. If you have good single core performance, I mean, some games make use of like lots of threads and stuff, but you would still be fine with something that's 4-core 8-thread. Like that's why Intel i3s are doing so well. No. The Ryzen 3 4100 does not count. No, that doesn't count. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I think the type of person who wants a Ryzen 3 tier of power would grab an i3. But I don't know, there are reasons, I think there are legitimate reasons to want... If you look at the track record of both companies, AMD, even before Ryzen, if you were to look at like the AM3 and AM3 Plus platform for how long that was relevant, you were able to go through their product stack and fit multiple CPUs. I guess not if you went to the newer stuff and needed AM3 Plus, but for sure for the last 6 or 7 years with Ryzen, like you could use a modern day like 5600 right here with one of the original B350 motherboards. Okay, wait, so the Linus AMD challenge wasn't sponsored, but my point was, regardless of Linus saying good things about AMD sometimes, he also insults them just as much, if not more, which gives viewers bad impressions. I'm trying... Does he actually insult them? For the people who are Linus, like, dedicated every single video watchers, do you find this to be true? Tavian says, anyone doing an AMD GPU, or with the AMD GPU is just doing the AMD challenge. No. I think there are a lot of people who legitimately, they went from like an old GPU, and they've been in this chat and in the past streams and stuff. They legit went from like an old GPU and they bought an AMD card because it was more affordable than Nvidia and are enjoying it right now. There's people in the chat right now. It's not like they went from like a current day Nvidia card and switched to an AMD card just to do a challenge. Yo, do I need to make videos called the Nvidia challenge? Going from AMD or Intel to Nvidia just to, to level out the playing field? We gotta get some Nvidia challenge videos going on here just to make Nvidia look bad, right? The RTX 3050 challenge, oh my god. The only thing is, though, the RTX 3050, if price aside, I mean, the card performs just fine. Like, it's gonna play all the modern day titles that you want at the appropriate resolutions and levels. It's not like the 3050 is inherently a bad product. It is inherently a badly priced product. If it was released at like $150, no one would be complaining. They'd be buying the crap out of it. So, yeah. DLSS all day and you'll be fine. No, I mean the 3050 even without DLSS, it performs decently well. Like, you know, we're talking about like 1080p here, so it's not that hard to get pretty good numbers at 1080p at like medium to high settings. I saw a comment about what is happening with AM5 CPUs failing. So, you guys may have seen this in recent tech news. Let's see. AM5 CPU burn is what's the have burnt out for some. So there's the Verge, WCCF Tech. Who else reported on it? Here's a Reddit thread. So this was within the last week. Let me see. Can I open this? Okay, sure. Come on. I put ad block off. Why are you not showing me the picture? Okay. Yeah, so this has been popping up. I've been seeing it on Twitter a lot. So 7800X3D just killed itself in your motherboard. Did it just kill itself? I thought, based on what I was reading, it was... I don't know if it was due to overclocking or if it was when they attempted to manually overclock. Or if they messed with the BIOS settings or PBO or something like that. So let me see. It was working great for 4 days and the machine hard reset. Sat zero code power cycled. Okay. AM5 owners. So AMD and its board partners issue first official statement on Ryzen 7000 CPU burnout issues, which you get this like little bubble spot here, or what looks to be like a bubble spot, and then like burn on the pins. But let's see. We're aware of a limited number of reports online claiming excess voltage while overclocking. So this is what I was talking about. So I think the person that this happened to, or one of the people that this happened to, I saw Steve from Gamers Nexus tweet out, they bought the CPU and motherboard from that person, and they're gonna kind of do a deep dive on it. He said it was like his highest priority right now, so that should be coming out within the next week so we can learn more about it. But, I mean, right now, I'm not sure all the information is known yet, but what AMD is saying is that excess voltage while overclocking may damage the board. So I'm not sure if anyone who's just slapping in their AM5 like CPUs into the motherboards and just running it at stock, I don't know if any of those are supposedly burning out like this. But yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, Demon Mitt. Either way, it should shut down well before this happened. So it's gonna be really interesting. Man. The thing is, because AMD does both like CPUs and graphics cards, if they, I mean, because they were already having some issues with graphics cards with like the vapor chamber stuff, right? When the graphics cards were overheating. That was like not even too long ago, maybe like 6 months ago or something. To have just kind of like issues like this where tech news outlets can run with it, I think overall it kind of sets a bad precedent for them as a company, where even though this is like a CPU motherboard related issue, and we're gonna have to wait and see whose fault is this actually, right? Is this the board partners, or is it something that AMD is kind of like at fault for? But it just doesn't, it's not a good look for AMD, which for people, if you're trying to convince them to also buy your graphics cards, I don't know. This isn't the look you want. KL130 says, this is why I run stuff at stock. Actually, new poll. Third poll. You manually overclock. Okay, so there's 4 different. Do you manually overclock your CPU? It's either yes, no, or you do some kind of auto OC or like auto boosting, whatever. If that's available, but I don't even really count that as manual OC. And then you don't have hardware that's capable of overclocking. Let's just see what the spread is between how many people actually overclock their stuff, like go in and fine tune a lot of the BIOS settings, to get. I feel like, for the most part, a lot of people, the sentiment is it's not worth manually doing it. Just set like PBO, maybe undervolt it, and then call it good to go. And doing stuff like that, I don't think is gonna get you results like this. So how many people out there are actually manually overclocking, or, you know, running at higher voltages that would cause this to happen? Because I don't think PBO with like a negative offset curve would do this. Tavian says you should do a poll and see how many people have K SKU Intel CPUs and choose not to OC. That's actually a good point. That is very specific though. So I wanted to just kind of ask in general, because pretty much most AMD hardware owners, I think most people, they tend to at least stick to the B50 boards and not grab like A320 or whatever. So I would think that I wanted to ask everybody, because AMD, given how easy it is to overclock, I was just curious if anyone did. Chris Condor says, this is why I use my Steam Deck. Yeah, yo, Chris Condor, have you checked out Jason Whitmer's content? He makes a lot of Steam Deck content, so yeah, definitely check it out. Pigeonhole him further into Steam Deck stuff and not PC stuff. Damien says, hot take, OCing your CPU has been a dumb idea since 4th gen Intel, with few exceptions. Yeah. Okay, here's kind of my thoughts on overclocking. Like, I do it sometimes just to make the video more interesting, but I don't think it's by any means necessary. Like, baseline performance on modern day processors are already like really good. They can boost well. They have high like base clocks out of the box. It's not like AMD's FX series chips where you would want to overclock it to push performance more, because it kind of didn't do too well anyways. So I'm convinced if you gave me someone who overclocked their system and they used it for a day, and I was able to go in and undo their overclock and not tell them about it, the next day they use that same PC for all the stuff that they did, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. We're talking about, like, in gaming, are you gonna notice the difference between 170 FPS versus 185? I don't think so. When you render out a video, are you gonna notice 10-15 seconds being shaved off on it? I don't think so. So overclocking, definitely, it's like a hobbyist thing to do, and it's, you know, it can be fun to do, but how many people actually net the performance gains from them? Unless they're doing something crazy like, you know, liquid nitrogen, or doing like a custom loop system with multiple fat radiators and are pushing like really hard overclocks. But I'm talking about like a typical moderate overclock. Yeah, OC is just something fun to do, but you only gain a small performance boost. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've, for the most part, seen anytime I mess with overclocking. If anything, graphics card overclocking is, first of all, it's much easier to do. I mean, you can do overclocking within Windows, I guess, with CPUs, but it's not as, like, you don't get as many settings. But for graphics card overclocking, it's a lot easier, right? You just get MSI afterburners, you slide the sliders, and worst case scenario, if something goes wrong with the graphics card, it usually crashes and just resets the settings in Windows. Whereas trying to manually overclock a CPU and having it like boot cycle and then have to like pull the CMOS battery, doing stuff like that, it's so annoying that I just feel like for most people who don't find enjoyment out of it, it's just not worth doing. Catherine Morgan says, never try to OC a GPU yet. Yeah, so overclocking a graphics card is so easy. You go and you get a program, like, if you have, there's multiple programs out there that can do this, but MSI Afterburner is kind of what most people use. If you have an EBJ card, you can use like EBJ Precision Tuner or whatever, but you get MSI Afterburner, you download it, and you slide the core clock, and you can, if you have voltage control, you can do that too. But for the most part, a lot of times you can leave voltage alone, and you can just slide like your temperature limit slider, and then you just up the core clock and the memory clock if you want. Memory clock usually doesn't do too much, it's mostly the core clock, and you literally just slide it by like 50 megahertz intervals or whatever until your graphics card crashes. Then when it crashes, you back it down a little bit, and that's pretty much it. Graphics card overclocking is so easy. So that's how you're able to use it. No, I do not overclock my graphics card though. I can show you. Well, so you have to have MSI Afterburner open, and I don't even have it as like a default startup program. But yeah, I run my 6600 at stock. Cause I mean, to be honest, usually, from what I've seen, if you're not touching voltage, you're only able to push beyond like the factory overclocks that they already do out of the box. Usually you're only hitting like another 100, 150, maybe if you're lucky 200 megahertz before you start artifacting or crashing. So it's not like it's a huge difference in performance. Our Call 2000 says, I'm not dissing people who overclock, but it's just not for me. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, as someone who, like, I overclock in videos, I have a build over here that I'm about to overclock to try to squeeze performance out of a FX processor from AMD. But, yeah, I would say for most people, it's not worth overclocking. Yeah, so the thing, you don't have to use MSI Afterburner. AMD, what is the AMD tool called? I forget. It's AMD Ryzen Master. Is that the newest one? You can do that as well. Pretty sure. So there's CPU controls in here. I could have sworn there was there GPU controls in here as well for the graphics card? Or was Ryzen Master only CPU? It used to be AMD Overdrive, but that's not around anymore. Mag78 says, my girlfriend is weird. She doesn't overclock. She doesn't mess with settings or look at FPS. She just plays games. I don't think that... I think you're trolling, right? But I mean, I think that's how it should be. I mean, for sure, do your research. Try to get the most out of the hardware that you buy, obviously. But beyond that, just turn on your computer and play games and be happy. Don't try to chase like every frame that you can get, because I am telling you, whether or not you're getting like 140 FPS versus 150, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. Unless you're like an esports professional gamer who usually games with like 360 hertz monitors and stuff like that. Maybe they can tell. But I guarantee you, you are not that guy or girl. I am not that guy or girl. We are plebs. We are casuals. Master overclocker here. I turn on XMP. True. That is technically considered overclocking. Oh, yeah, the Adrenalin software. Duh. There you go. It's funny because I was playing with the Adrenalin software, but it's because I was playing with AMD Overdrive recently. I was looking at Ryzen Master stuff. But yeah, the Adrenalin software has it already built in, which is pretty nice. I'm trying to think. Okay, so here's a question. Because when I install Nvidia drivers, I don't install GeForce Experience. Do you guys install just the base driver, or do you get the GeForce Experience suite along with it if you are an Nvidia card owner? Shane, that is exactly what I do too. So I put the... So for... I don't know why. But for AMD... AMD... I'm trying to think of it now. Because I always get the full Adrenalin suite. But for Nvidia, I hate GeForce Experience. The fact that to be able to use it, they make you like sign in. Nah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I hate, like, Nvidia, what are you doing? Every time, so sometimes I accidentally choose like install everything, and then I get the Nvidia Nvidia GeForce Experience pop up, and I'm just like, why can't this be like the Adrenalin software where you could just open it up without logging in and be able to just like look at, you know, all your driver versions, play with the different options and sliders and stuff like that. Alejandro Fuentes says the downside of overclocking an AMD card is that settings reset themselves every now and then and due to some issues. Are you talking about with like MSI Afterburner, or are you talking about in the Adrenalin software? I usually use Afterburner, which I've never noticed anytime I've overclocked for it to reset randomly, so long as MSI Afterburner is left up and running with the, you know, the higher settings. GeForce is gross, says Shauner. Okay, so it seems like a lot of people share the same sentiment that GeForce Experience is a thumbs down, but AMD Adrenalin software is a thumbs up. Yeah, AMD, no need to have an account and sign in, which is, I think, is the biggest thing. and the program works really well. Yeah, I would agree. Adrenalins are the drivers for AMD, but I thought there was a way. Is there a way to not install it, or do you have to have it? I could have sworn when you could select further options to only get the drivers. Let me see. Let me take a look at this right now. I'm not going to install it, but I could have sworn if you go on AMD's website, you can get the same drivers without the Adrenalin. AMD, let's just look at 67XT drivers. Support. So yeah, so if you were to go to any of these, you could get the Adrenalin edition, Pro edition, auto detect to install. Was there no? I could have. You have to get the whole software with it. Oh. Let me actually download. Let me see if I have one on hand right now. I'm gonna try to download it, and look through the settings again, and I'll pull it up. I could have sworn that you had the option. Now here we go. So I have random AMD things. Let me pull up the window. Okay. So we'll install this. So let me do this real quick. I have like 4 different driver versions here, just in my download folders from when for benchmarking and stuff. So let me open this up. I have Adrenalin installed on my PCs. What I'm asking is, was there an option when you install it to not get the full software suite and to only get the base drivers? I could have sworn that's an option in there. Not like I ever made use of that, because I always put the whole Adrenalin software suite whenever I, like, you know, build systems. But I'm trying to see if there's the check mark. Yeah, you download it and run it, and there's yeah, so there's an option for drivers only. So that's what I thought, but I'm gonna confirm right now. I'm gonna confirm and pull it up on the screen after this extracts real quick, because I mean, GeForce Experience gives you the option too, but like I was saying, GeForce Experience is just not ideal. Okay, here we go. Let me change this window real fast. Browser window. Okay, so we have this here. So additional options, full install. Yeah, so they do have the minimal install and the drivers only. So you would get this and you wouldn't. I've honestly, for AMD, because Adrenalin software is so good, I have never chosen this option. Like, I've never chosen driver only, because their software is non-intrusive and doesn't require a sign-in. Opposite to Nvidia, for Nvidia, I always choose driver only, so. Okay, yeah. So that's kind of what I thought. I wasn't 100% sure based on memory alone. Okay. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Where is it? There we go. You don't have, no, I know you don't have to use GeForce Experience. That was a different conversation. I'm just saying, it sounds like a lot of people willingly install the Adrenalin software, whereas they kind of hate the GeForce Experience software. If I didn't have GeForce Experience, I wouldn't have known about Portal RTX. Wait, why not? I feel like if you are on like Reddit or Twitter or YouTube even, you would have eventually known about Portal RTX. Not everyone is chronically online like you, bro. We touch grass. Bro, if you are on your computer seeing the GeForce Experience news, that's no different than opening up your browser and getting random news that way. What? Yeah, but I feel like being on YouTube, you would have just seen it. Wait, Jason, are you telling me you open up your GeForce Experience specifically to get GeForce news? Are you that much of an Nvidia fanboy? Yeah, and Steam, hello? If anything, Steam, that's a good point. Steam front page. I mean, are you a true gamer if you are getting your gaming news anywhere aside from Steam when they have their new releases and sales? Oh my god, the Nvidia fanboy in him is truly coming out. He says he loves, I forget, what is even in your system right now, Jason? I don't think you're still using the AMD card, right? I feel like you've been swapping your system quite a bit recently and moving stuff around. Oh, I think Jason actually might have the AMD card in his system right now. He's ashamed. Okay. We are about 2 hours into stream, so I'm gonna focus for the most part, unless people bring up some really fun topics to pull the browser back up. But I'm gonna focus on chat for the last 5 to 10 minutes of stream, as we always do here. Yeah, you know what? So many companies have been asking me if I'm going to Computex. And Computex would be a very expensive trip. To go to Taiwan, not only travel, hotel and stuff, a lot of the bigger content creators, or even some medium-sized ones, they have sponsorships that, like, you know, if they cover some of their booth time and cover some of their products during Computex, they'll sponsor it and pay for their flights and stuff like that. But if you don't have those kinds of sponsorships, getting, you know, tickets to the other side of the world and like hotels and stuff, that's really expensive. Plus the time you have to take off to do that. So unfortunately, I will not be going to Computex, is what I've been telling every company that has been asking. But I'm sure we'll go over the coverage, like on stream and stuff like that, and on YouTube. Jason says, bro, Taiwan is amazing. I would go to Computex in a heartbeat. I mean, I would definitely love to leverage out a deal with like sponsorships in the future to do so. But yeah, this year that was not happening. Danny Carbajal says, can I explain the poll? Yeah. So Danny, if you have an AMD graphics card, when you install the drivers, do you get the full software, like the Adrenalin software, or do you choose drivers only? That's basically what the question is. Get a CD key company to pay you? I'm trying to think. Have y'all seen any like Computex or CES footage where the content creator says, this coverage of CES is brought to you by SCD keys? I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen that. It's usually hardware companies. That'd be pretty funny if they did though, because that's kind of like a cross of like software versus hardware type of thing. That would be wild in my opinion. That would be so based, lol. Yeah. So I don't think I've seen that. For the most part, it's usually some of the companies like NZXT, Corsair, Thermaltake, you know, those are the ones that are sponsoring. Because when the creator goes there, they make like a full dedicated video on their booth on all their products. So yeah, it's usually just the hardware stuff. But that'd be funny. Wait, double edge. What do you mean by that? Well, it's also not like these CD key sites are all above board. Are you talking about legal? I'm not all above board. Is that a saying I've not heard before? Oh, legitimate, honest, open. Huh? I've never heard that saying before. I've never used that before. Above board. Yeah. So legitimate, legit, honest. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it can be argued that that's why they're called gray market websites, right? They're not technically illegal, but I would say they err on the side of like illegal or not legitimate more so than they are pure and legit. Rotate STD keys and raid Shadow Legends. It's been a while since I've gotten a Raid Shadow Legends email. I think when I sent them my ridiculous offer, they just ignored me. Because I wasn't seriously considering it. Raid Shadow Legends is the best friend of all streamers. It is. It is ridiculous how much of a budget they have. Which is crazy, right? The only reason they have the budget is because people are actually spending money on the microtransaction for Raid Shadow Legends. How are they making this much money? Maybe it's because I play mobile games and gacha games. But Raid Shadow Legends is not it. Slow turn-based combat is not it. With generic looking characters, I don't know. I play JRPG gacha games, so maybe that's why. I like a different style of them. Yo, can we look at Raid Shadow Legend microtransaction pricing? Is there somewhere where this is just like laid out? So you can buy all the stuff for like $50, like just think it's a known fact that Raid Shadow Legends pays content creators a ton of money. We're talking like way more than PC hardware space would pay. Like big content creators in the upwards of tens, if not hundreds of thousands, like for some of these campaigns. They're making the money because people are actually spending money on this game, which it blows my mind because of how I've installed Raid Shadow Legends before. It's a crappy game. I'm sorry if anyone out there, I know Death Tech from Java plays Raid Shadow Legends. I'm sorry, Death. But does anyone out there right now in the chat, do any of you actually play Raid Shadow Legends? Yeah, Ronda Rousey they apparently had a collab with her. It's kind of crazy. Yo, okay. Since we're at the end of stream here, we're just chilling. You want to see I'm going to show you the game that I play. I'm going to show Last CLOUDIA. So let me do this real quick. So I don't play Raid Shadow Legends because I actually play good games like this. Okay, where is this? So we're going to go to the window. Is this going to work? I wonder if it's going to work. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm telling you, I play mobile games, I play gacha games. This one's also on Steam. But let me show you what we're doing in here. No, I'm not gonna play this quest again. So this is a JRPG based game. So it has everything that a typical gacha game has. A freaking crazy screen and stuff like that. Stuff that you can get daily. But let me just show you what some of the combat looks like. Oh, and they've had collabs with like Attack on Titan and stuff too. So that's why you have Levi here. They've had Dr. Stone collabs, but anyways. Yeah, this is a good game. I'm telling you. You look at Raid, And well, I like pixel sprite-based games, but in this one, like, you can actually individually control your characters. You see how I'm moving him around, and I can actually use individual abilities. Like, this is pretty much like a JRPG in gacha online mobile game form. Yeah, so this is kind of like Summer Wars, except way better. Because Summer Wars, like, you can't even move around the field and stuff. Trust me, I reached out for sponsorships for Last CLOUDIA. They just ignored me. If I could be sponsored by them, I would wholeheartedly actually get sponsored by them. Because this is actually, like, I play this on my free time without getting paid. But yeah. We can do something like this. Just to show you a little more. Is this what depression looks like? This is not what depression looks like, guys. I promise you. I don't know. I've always... Because I played games like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy and stuff growing up. So, games like this, where it has that kind of like Japanese pixel sprite art style, where you can actually control the characters, where you actually build them up with different abilities and stuff like that. And I mean, look at this. The spells actually look pretty cool. Lol, that's even... This is not worse! What are you talking about? This is objectively a better game than Raid Shadow Legends. It doesn't make nearly as much money, but you know. You know. Anyways. Oh, chat, how much is Danny... Oh, wait, lol, that's even worse. We need to give this man more subs so he can chill out for... Yeah, exactly. Kevin B says, didn't get into Raid, but I have played Summer Wars. Yeah, okay, I already read that one. Yeah, that they rejected me. I know. They're a Japanese-based company, and some of the people who worked on this game actually, I think, came from Summer Wars or Final Fantasy Brave XeSS or whatever. But yeah, dude. Aside from PC gaming, I do like to dabble in mobile games. Like, not like spending money on them, but seeing what games actually are pretty decent that are free. Extreme Zone says he's a first-person shooter fanboy. Dude, mobile games like Call of Duty didn't they remove Apex? Apex was a mobile game and then they got rid of that, right? But like Call of Duty, Fortnite, PUBG, they're all on mobile as well. And of course graphics aren't going to be as good as computer, but mobile gaming is definitely exploding. Oh yeah, no problem, Double Edge. Thanks for showing the love though. Okay, so in terms of what's coming up this weekend for videos, so I have older AMD platform, which is why I've been chasing the AM3 Plus motherboard. But I have the system; it's already built right there. Still need to benchmark it and wrap up the video, but this is a fun revisit to old hardware. I like playing with old hardware, and you'll hear me say it in the video because it is no surprise that if you buy a current gen CPU, so long as it's not a freaking Celeron, but like if you buy like a current gen, even a budget entry level CPU like an i3, and like a entry level graphics card, even something as low as like a RTX 3050, it is no surprise that it's going to be able to run games smoothly without any issues. So I can only do so much of like showcasing modern hardware systems before I'm like, okay, it runs the games fine. Like that starts to get boring. But when you start playing with older hardware, like 10-year-old CPU in here, and you start bottlenecking the crap out of it, it's just way more interesting to see what a 10-year-old CPU can still run games like The Last of Us or Hogwarts Legacy or like Halo Infinite. That to me is way more fun to play with and share and showcase. So that's what this weekend's video is going to be about. And yeah, so that'll be fun. Alright, Extreme Zone, take it easy. Have a good night. Yeah, B. I can't comprehend playing FPS on mobile either. A lot of the times, the controls are like the touchscreen joystick and stuff. It is so bad. But I think they make like Bluetooth controllers or things you can hook up to your like USB-C and stuff, where you can use a controller on the phone, which makes it a little bit better, I guess. And that's like halfway to a Steam Deck, right? Demon Mitt says he's got an i3-6100, very fun CPU. GTX 1650 build coming up. Yeah, it is fun to play with stuff like that to see how it does. I've got the 8350. That's what I was saying earlier in Discord. It's the 8350 that's in there. Released in October 2012. So 11 years old, actually. Almost 11 years old. Baka says PC gaming just seems to driving people away. So I've been hearing this sentiment a lot. I would say for people who are only set on buying the newest hardware, maybe, yeah, it seems like it's driving away. But for anyone who's okay with used parts and, you know, going for like budget $600, $500 builds, you can build a really good system for that much. Like $600, you can build a very capable gaming PC. But you even in the new market is not that bad. You could almost, with $600, let me think. Can you squeeze out an RX 6600 like Ryzen 5 or i3 build? You're getting pretty close at that point. $200 graphics card, 100-ish, $120 CPU, $70 motherboard. Yeah, you're pretty much at that $600 price point. Even brand new, and you can get a RX 6600 system. Yeah, so the thing about the 8250, because I've already started to kind of mess around with game settings, it is rare that you see CPU bottlenecks as badly as you do with old hardware. Like, so one of the easiest way to check if you have a CPU bottleneck is you take the current resolution you're playing at and lower it. So if you're playing at 1080p, lower it to 720p. Do you get an increase in FPS? If you do, then your GPU bottleneck for the most part. If you don't, which is what I was seeing, I took it from 1080p down to 720p and turned on FSR, max performance mode. The frame rate did not change. That is how CPU bottlenecked I was. So it was just super fun and interesting to play with. So that's what I love about old hardware. Demon Mitt says, would you ever have an interest in taking cool older hardware on loan? The thing is, I have plenty of old hardware on hand already. Like, I have a not an FX. I have, like, this i3-6100. I have a lot of old hardware, or at least parts of them, either CPU or motherboard. It's just, I don't have enough time to make all the content that I want. And then in this case, like, I had to go out and buy an AM3 Plus. But I don't think shipping back and forth used motherboards is that efficient in terms of like how much it costs to already ship a box that big. I might as well just go out and buy it, right? So yeah, just like loaning out old hardware, given how they're not worth that much, just in shipping costs alone, I feel like it's not worth it. Like an i7 3930K X79, okay, so that still kind of holds its value, but I feel like something like that, yeah, I wouldn't be against it. Though that is kind of like the 8350. I feel like a lot of people had that. Something like an X79 board, 3930, feels a little bit more niche. Yeah, CPU bottleneck definitely means just run at higher resolutions. Yeah, and the only thing about shipping stuff, hardware back and forth too, is it's just like, what if something gets damaged? Not by us. So the 8350 I bought, the guy who shipped it to me. Let me see if I can find the. Okay, so the 8350 that I bought. Oh man, is this even gonna show up? The light is so bright. So he shipped it in this, which I'm not saying you would ship anything bad, but he didn't have a clamshell, so he shipped a 3D printed. He shipped a 3D printed case for it, and he didn't put foam in it. So it came with bent pins, and I had to fix like multiple bent pins before putting it in. But the box came smashed. Let me see if I can find it on here. Yeah, it's just. It seems like it might be more trouble than it's worth, even though if that was what you were offering, I appreciate it. Let me see. What the heck? Yeah, I was kind of impressed too. Like, I would have just put it into like, put it into a piece of foam and then like wrapped it or taped it up or something, which is I've received CPUs like that to 3D print a whole box, and then failing to put the foam in, it kind of defeats the purpose. He did tape some bubble wrap. Man, you cannot see this at all. Why is it so blown out? Sony cam. Why you do me dirty? Oh, here we go. Now it's easier to see. I need to turn on my lights. Yeah, so he 3D printed this entire box for it, and then even went on to put bubble wrap on the top side of it, but there was no cushion for the pins were just sitting on this hard surface. Yeah. Oh, I can't show this because it has my address on it. Oh, I can show some of these actually. Yeah, so this is what the box came in like. Pretty bad. So it came completely squashed. And then, so here's what the pins look like. So it was just and there was apparently a piece of hair on it. But yeah, so a bunch of the pins, this is just one side of it. The other side had some more bent pins too. It wasn't like horribly bent, but it was enough where I had to take time to like try to fix it. So yeah, this is, I mean, I don't know. If you protect something, that it should be fine. But again, I mean, shipping them like a whole motherboard combo, that's what, 15, 20 bucks, even with pirate ship, right? Shipping rates have gone up. And then adding insurance on it, because you definitely want to add insurance on old hardware that might be valuable one day. Kind of expensive. Alright, let's see. Where is it posted? Stream submissions. Oh man, this board is this is a pretty sweet looking board, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I don't know every freaking Rampage motherboard price off the top of my head. But okay, if I had to guess, this motherboard, if you wanted to find one in good working condition, this exact motherboard, I'm gonna guess $120. Let's see, Rampage 4 Extreme. Oh, I was way off. Okay, wait up. Holy crap. Let's look at sold listings. Oh wait, no, we see some. Here we go. 78. Is this working? Yeah, what is this? Are these people smoking crack? Okay, how much are some of these been sold for? Sold items. 200. Okay, this one was I don't know how much. 125. Okay, so I wasn't too far off. Well, so here's an untested one going for cheaper. 330. What? Here's one that's more reasonable. 134. Yeah, I would think around 120-ish, which is kind of ridiculous given that's more expensive than new motherboards. But I mean, it's one of those things. Hobbyists will always pay for stuff like this just because it's, you know, they have fond memories of it. There's really no reason for you to spend this much on this motherboard when the compute power from it just doesn't match anything like modern day. I mean, it does, but it does at a higher price per performance. Yeah, do USA, US only. So 200. What did this one sell for? Why is the price slashed out? 125, 89, 330, 134, 127. But then some of these are like really high in price. Oh, this one comes with Demon Man. Is this you? Is this you right here? 3930K, 64 gigabytes of memory. Is this you? Nah, I mean, yeah, so it's as good as a Ryzen 5 1600. It only costs, well, you said the CPU was so the motherboard's about double what you can get like a cheap B350 used for. But the CPU is probably cheaper than the 1600 because those Ryzen 1600. What is your guess on the eBay available, like buy it now price? 60 bucks? You think 60 bucks would be safe? Let's see. Buy it now. Lowest first. 1600. Yo, are 1600s really 30 bucks? Oh, these are sold listings. We can't count these. We have to see readily available ones. 1600X, 1600. So they're about 40 bucks. Okay. Huh, that's a little bit cheaper than what I thought they would be going for. I thought 1600s were still holding a little bit more value than this. So 50-ish seems pretty. I mean, you could get one for 43 right here. Yeah, this is lower than I thought. It's because I thought I don't like in terms of hardware pricing. Hardware is not priced based on like how old it is. It's based on how capable it is. Anything that could still run decently well, like modern games and stuff, and has enough cores and threads, I've usually seen them hold on to more value. But might have to do a cheap budget build around the 1600. I think I've gotten rid of all my 1600s in builds and stuff like that, so I don't have one on hand. So I might buy one of these, get a cheap motherboard, and maybe do a budget build soon. But yeah. Yeah, 40 bucks, pretty rarely available. There's multiple listings for it. Yeah, I might have to pick one up. But, okay. That's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this stream. Very fun stream as always, y'all. You guys make doing this super fun and easy because there's always stuff we can talk about and go around and pull up during that. So I appreciate you all for being here as always. Sorry if that clap was loud to the mic. I apologize. Yeah, look forward to I think I have a YouTube short, a little fun one coming out within the next couple of days, and then this video should be out this weekend, so look out for that. Other than that though, the Discord channel, shoot, I don't know if this Discord link still works, but if you guys aren't a part of the Discord yet, be sure to join. You can catch me there when I'm not doing stuff on either YouTube or Twitter. You can usually get direct like contact with me there. I'm not gonna like do a whole PC troubleshooting thing with you or like free tech support, but I am there chilling and just talking about, you know, shooting the crap and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely check out the Discord server if you guys have not yet. Let me see. Let me update that link just in case. Okay, we should be good to go. Alright, night everyone. Take it easy. And yeah, I will see you in the comments of the next video in the Discord server and next week during stream. Bye bye.